and thank you for joining me for this live edition of Transcending Ascension. Um, our old revelations we used to do are back, and there's a good reason. So we like to blame the sleepers, right? The people asleep, the sheeple, they're the bad guys. Okay. Well, the Physics of Consciousness, a book I'm deeply passionate about, and bringing an audiobook to YouTube, just because there isn't one, and people should have one, because I appreciated when YouTube had them, and or even if one day they have it, it's a free option. So anyways, the Physics of Consciousness, can't recommend it enough. But why I'm here is we like to blame the sleepers as being the bad guys, correct? They're the bad guys, right? Okay, well, I've read this book before, and it just shows how many times you could be saturated with this information. And there's layers, and you just need to know and be told over and over and over again. Now, I know everybody has their own path, and you can't intercede on someone's path too much, right? Or you're creating negative karma for yourself. Even if they're hanging off a cliff and they're saying, "Don't help me," you are really like causing your own karma by helping them. Like that's just the way the human is. We interplay together and our karma is always growing together, right? That is what someone chooses. That constant progression of karma, the story that's interweaving, continuing your life here on earth. There are souls that want to do that. I know, lol to all of us here in the spiritual community obsessed with waking up, so we can not just like maybe not escape this life, which I've kind of come to terms with because it was too much pressure to just be like, oh my God, I have to escape this life. And I feel like I'm not the only one there where we're like, this is the life I have to get out, meaning becoming a Buddha, becoming a Jesus. That means finishing off your karma, having no karmic ties, which I sailed that ship when I had children because I created karmic ties. Now, if there's something I had to do to separate, I would never separate that. I have children, I love them, and everybody who has that would feel the same way. So already I've bought myself at least another life. And you're continuing on until you tie up all your karma, okay? But a lot of us in the spiritual community see this as a negative thing, right? We're like, oh no, I'm trapped here on earth, the matrix, where, right? Because that's kind of truth. And we have been trapped here. However, we forget our true power as the entirely enormous soul that we are. And that is being shown right now to us as we have decided this sucks and the earth shifts to let us off. Think about that. Okay, there is probably versions of you in different timelines where you didn't decide you wanted off and you didn't shift in that direction to be free of this life. Okay, we see this as a bad thing in the spiritual community. Ugh, I'm stuck here, where, right? However, not everybody sees themselves as stuck. Truly, and I've heard this a million times. I've heard this a million times, and it's something that just never sat with me until reading it again for the audiobook, again reading. And it's just the way he put it, and it won't be out for a few days, but the way he put it, it's on my phone, so I can't read you the exact quote, but I'll put it up on my X after this, so that you could read it if you saw this and want to read it, and I can comment below on the video. So we're seeing it if you're watching this after, same with YouTube. Anyways, he just described that these sheeple, these sleepers, don't necessarily want to be woken up, and trying to tell them, like I do, that's my job, that's what I do, is try to tell them, you are God, wake up, because there's a ton of star seeds here to shift the earth, and all of us want to wake up. All of us are here for that mission, and there's a lot of us, there's millions of us, and I'm seeing flashes of hundreds of thousands of them. You can see the community growing. YouTube is ablaze. It used to be not like barely any people once upon a time, and in a very short span of time, it's one of those things I kick myself about. I still don't put that much high production value in. If I had to put high production value in on my early days, I could be in a much different place. But it is what it is, and I just don't have the energy for that. And I live in the country, so my internet's only going to do so much anyways, as this is probably coming in and out of focus for you now, because that's just the way it is. So everybody has their own paths, but mine's definitely for awakening. Mine's definitely for trying to wake people up. But we, as the awakeners, need to get it through our heads. I feel like, myself included, that like there is a good chunk of the population out of 8 billion people, if millions of them are trying to awaken, there's still a majority not trying to wake up. And we are here just to help that earth get better. Hopefully we could pull them on a higher timelines. I don't know how that plays out with them in the split and higher and lower, but it's been said throughout multiple things that there is a good chunk of people here asleep that want to stay asleep. And it's, I've been hearing that like with this shift, people are noticing better behavior. I've noticed as people's they are trying to connect more with spirit, but not in the same way as us enlightening. And then their children, their families, learning that working is not the thing you want to spend your entire life doing. Like that whole work for 40 to 50 years. I knew that was wrong from the get-go. From the get-go, as a child, I was telling people that's insane. My parents were workaholics. My mother died when she was 59 years old. Could you imagine still working 6 days a week for what? Before she died, her work took her off the insurance. So, and she died like a month later. So I wonder if that's why, because they stopped paying, like they stopped paying the insurance. So she lost her benefits. She just started paying for her medication out of her pocket, like that kind of next level stuff at 59 after focusing so hard on working. And I have memories of her in my brief earlier childhood where she didn't work and we were all a much happier family. So that's the kind of shift I hope like the sleepers are still going to shift back to, is that children need their mothers and they also need their fathers. Fathers should start going back to jobs where it's a family job. If we get way more into farming and bring down the mass grocery stores, this leaves stuff for all those sleepers, like that they are going to move to more heart-centered life, more soul-centered life, but like more in an unconscious way. So maybe like they say the evangelical churches are growing and religions like Baha'i are growing, and to be truly sovereign, free, and enlightened, you don't want a religion, period. It needs to be the religion of thyself, because that's the only way you'll finish out all your karmic paths and poof on to the next incarnation in a different world, not even physical, whatever you want. It's an enlightened world. There's so many options on the other side. It's insane. The joke of heaven and hell is like lol. So maybe they can even start realizing that. But one thing that I came here to say, it's like actually finally getting it through my head that there are sleepers out there that want to stay asleep. And maybe like we are doing the shifting up by giving like their Instagram is flooded with like helpful parenting advice, helpful just psychiatry, psychology, therapy, just the knowing thyself. But there's so much human to know. Like I like jumped over so many issues of the human when I was first awakening and even doing this spirit work. 'Cause I talk about there's conspiracy awakening me, but then there's spirit awakening me that was actually doing the work, but then was like toxically positive. Like early on when I started my show, if you go back to my early show, I was toxically positive then. I was still teaching great stuff and it was great for teaching, but in my personal life, we need to dig this stuff out and give yourself more of that energy to realize that we are with each other and that we are doing our own authentic thing, but then they are doing their own authentic thing. They are going to do their own version of evolution, and that we can honor that. And I'm truly found a new way to just like, okay, no, they don't want to quit the game. Like they're not done playing. They're still going to play. They're still going to be here. They're still going to enjoy themselves, and there's still going to be a soul that's ever progressing. And then one day they will hit that spot where they're like, no, I'm done, I'm going to quit, I'm out. And then that'll be that, and maybe that's the next harvest period. Like there's so many different ages, that eons, epochs, like of where there's periods of mass exodus, and we're possibly in that right now. Or maybe the influx is just to change the age, like just to change that age. It needs that extra energy for the highest timeline of this age, and that's the mission. Either way, I'm going to start to let the sleepers sleep and let them just continue to learn about, that heart-led stuff of parenting and a true authentic life without going right to understanding how everything else works, of matrices, DNAs, dimensions, all the things I'm obsessed with learning, and to each their own. So God bless. And thank you for tuning in with Transcending Ascension. Have a great day. Bye.